there was a team, Tech for Dev, that was trying to help us. And that the thing had been stalled for like 2 years. What? 2 years? So I went to Lagos. Because I knew that, if you don't get your training on the computer, how can you work with the computer? So I went to Lagos, and we ensured that we brought them back to start it. And today, we have almost trained 3,000 people on basic computer knowledge. And that's something that has been quite outstanding. You must take initiative. So don't leave things to people, but be on top of things all the time. A lot of work is still being done to make JUPSA not only a learning center for manpower development, but also for research. We have an excellent team of staff here, led by the delectable Director General, Precious Imuwahia Jonu, who has run this academy efficiently. At this point, I would like to add my voice to that of the DG Brace Commission, who mentioned, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, the pivotal importance of adopting JUPSA as our regional intellectual property resource development center. That the academy proposes to expand its capacity shortly. There's already a lot of faculty here, different faculties that is not present anywhere in this country. And so we can liberate that. But if then we're expanding, the large purpose, you can see it on the other side, has been acquired by the government for the purpose of consummating this expansion initiative. And work will start there very, very soon. Very, very soon. And now I come to the big decision. Having formally launched the EGOR project in Edo State on the 1st of November 2022, as I said, before this launch, a lot of work are done. As part of efforts to popularize it, sensitize our workers, and gain acceptability, it occurred to us that we needed to take a major decision to have a break from the past by stopping the use of paper completely from the system. I discussed this idea with some permanent secretaries, and as expected, most of them advised against it. But their concern was genuine. How do we cope if we cut off paper completely? What about those who are not computer literate in the system? How will they work? What about the fact that we do not have enough laptops in the system? Indeed, there were all manner of questions, but in reality, they were genuine concerns. Happily, many senior officers, particularly some very key permanent secretaries, and I must appreciate at the risk of immodesty, the permanent secretary, general service, who is the permanent secretary, and the permanent secretary, human resource, another of the permanent secretary, and the senior permanent secretary who are here, they gave their support. This embraced and supported. My confidence in this initiative was strengthened after I discussed this issue with His Excellency the Governor, and he gave his full support. Accordingly, on the 1st of July 2023, we issued a circular prohibiting the use of paper in my office, but we wanted to start like that. And also informed the service that we will no longer be accepting physical. This not beginning in the office of the HOF, we would extend the no paper initiative in phases to cover the entirety of the service. To give effect to this, we embarked on another word round. You remember what I said about word round earlier? Where we took the message round, we were no longer accepting paper and tried to build the confidence of our staff in this workability. As we expected, multifarious concerns were raised at these interactive sessions, and we took copious notes with a view to addressing them. But in spite of our best efforts, this initiative has very limited success. I would say maybe about 30% success rate. In fact, I hope my secretary is not here, but I'll say it. In fact, my secretary in the opening was the first to flout it. It was the very first. Nearly 1 week after the circular, and in spite of several internal sessions, I kept being inundated with physical facts. It was so funny that the secretary himself introduced into the circular and had continued to accept files from MBAs, whom he thought were not prepared or strong enough for the change. On every occasion, he made a strong case to justify his action, and I like him for that. But it was not his fault. He's a product of the old order. And being state chapter chairman of the Nigerian Union of Rapportorial, Secretariat, Data Processing, and Allied Workers in the Service, it was obvious he was acting to protect his job. and those of his colleagues that it was wrong about their jobs. Happily, some of the MDAs the limited success of this initiative initially gave us a feeling to do few things. To realize that we had and thus we needed to do more, particularly to address the expressed concerns. We also thought that to speed up training, we also thought to speed up training. Secondly, we're still using paper internally, restricting the directive, hiding his head in the sand and thinking that it was not visible to the outside. Because it was just our office. So they would do their thing with paper internally. When it was time to transmit to us, they would do electronically. You know, it was not producing the desired results. It was never going to work. And we needed to do more. The option was to apply this. I said, go ahead. On the 9th, immediately, in May 2023, His Excellency nominated me and some other staff to attend that year's ID for Africa Digital Identity Conference in Nairobi, Kenya. That's something we should try to do. It's quite good. It helped us a lot. If not for the quality of the lectures there, but the networking gave us the opportunity to do. In fact, on one of the days, we went to Nairobi, ICT, and we had a chat with them. You know, Kenya is one of the countries that prides itself as one of the best ICT in Africa, along with South Africa. So they told us all that they had done the federal thing. By the time we started speaking, and we told them how we had adopted and all of that, you know, with no limited success. They were wow. So the subnational has done that, but it helped us to grow in confidence and then to exchange ideas as to how to deal. The program lasted from 23rd to 25th, I think to 26th actually, of May. Mr. Governor joined us on the second day. On the 9th, immediately preceding our departure from Kenya, Mr. Bosun Tijani, who was later appointed Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, I'm sure he's still there, right? Hosted His Excellency and us to a dinner. After the dinner, I mentioned to His Excellency that I thought it was important to set a definite cut-off date to eliminate paper from the system entirely. His Excellency immediately supported and in fact promised there and then that he will formally approve the request as soon as I presented it. In fact, characteristically, he asked, where is the memo? Unfortunately, I didn't have the memo there. And you know, this is a governor. I tell you something, I said it some 2 days ago. Once the governor asked me, that was last year, I said, oh God, we have not done the financial implication. He said, financial implication for promotion? Is that the way you're thinking? How can you be thinking like that? People who are deserving of promotion, promote them. Why did I answer the way I answered? Because that was enough. Before you do anything about promotion, financial implication. We don't do financial implication. That's January 2024 promotions. So he asked, where is the memo? Signaling his intention to immediately approve sale. And I said I was not quite ready. We agreed on my proposed July 1st, 2023 as a cutoff date, but we needed to approach this issue carefully. We could impose it if we liked, but we knew what limited success we had with initial efforts that restricted paper, that took out paper from our office. But we needed to approach this carefully. I've said that. So we agreed to workshop it to get the buy-in of everyone. Again, this is important. Workshops, very important. Put people in a place, but always talk to them, ensure that everyone is on the same page. The preparations for this work unfortunately forced us to push the effective date by 2 months. But soon after, His Excellency surprised all of us. And this was the veritable game changer. He gave a directive that from July 1st, which was the original date he proposed, do you understand what I've just said? We were to do ours on July 1st. We couldn't. So from this point, everybody knew that this was not the usual thing. This was the game changer. From that point, no official in the system was left in any doubt that this was serious business. What was going on? We were the preparation of our workshop. The workshop eventually held on July 5th, 2023. During the workshop, at which most of the honorable commissioners, special advisors, and permanent secretaries were present, after the initial lectures, EGOV and M5, we broke into technical sessions. We were intentional about these sections. Our overarching objective was to agree on the feasibility of the day proposed and to extract firm commitment from the leadership of the service to ensure its success. As I said earlier, autonomy. You have an idea in your mind. But rather than impose it, you call the people, you put the idea on the ground and drill down and let them own it. Because if you do that, they're not seeing you as someone who just imposes. And so they are more readily able and willing to accept the idea and work with it than when you just impose it on them. So that's what we did. And they were led by honorable commissioners deliberately. Even though they had just been appointed, this set of commissioners, they are just coming. We thought it was important we committed them to this assignment. These were the what operations needed to be made to ensure success. At a point during the exercise, we're seeing that things were not going well. It was like they were going to shoot the date again. So we entered, started talking to the commissioners. And they were able to, at the end of the day, carry the people along, and we all agreed that the date was feasible. Okay, the issues were mainly to determine the workability of the proposed date and what operations needed to be made to ensure success. It was a huge success. We all agreed that the September date, the November 1 date, was feasible and committed. All of us committed to making it work. The intent behind the workshop had been achieved, and for me, from then on, success would depend on how hard we worked. The MDICT transformation, and then PS digital economy, science and technology were all committed to seeing it succeed. They have led from the front in this project and are eminently deserving of my commendation. I thank them all. Huge thanks must also go to the SSG for giving so much support to this project. People don't understand it. The support that the SSG has given to this project has been so phenomenal and monumental that every step of the way is always on purpose. And we appreciate it. That I would like to appreciate. He was with Greenfields, and I'm sure you guys know who I mean. He's now special advisor strategy to the government. This man has been a pillar to us on the team. We are very, very grateful to him. Then after we intensified our communication efforts, and on a daily basis, the sub-teams went around the MDS, working hard to achieve success. We also set up an M&E team. This team was set up around the PS ICTA. So much work. She had just retired from the service, but we appointed her as a consultant. Two reasons. First, her knowledge and experience were invaluable to the success of the project. Second, we also wanted to send the signal that all this wahala about external people who were coming as consultants. Okay, you have your own now. So let's see whether you correct with them. And we have 5 or 6 of them as consultants now. It's been deliberate. So it's not as if we just appointed people. Anyhow. The M&E team had the responsibility of separately undertaking full-time the assignment of evaluating progress on the team, seeing how much success we're having, what challenges we're having, and how to address them. His experience showed that that's to underscore the importance of that the government attaches to it. In our report, we made use of our back end. Again, this is something that you can sell to your chief executives. Poured data on how each MDA was doing and specific areas in which they were lacking behind. This serves for among MDAs, firing the desire of the respective leadership to do better. The next report, we gave a report. If an MDA was at 30%, the next week you will see, because it was clear to everybody. So we're not naming and shaming anyone, but we just wanted to engender a situation of healthy competition among the MDAs, and it worked. It was like efforts to up the ante in their respective MDAs. In fact, the government ensured that this weekly report on EGOV was made the very first item on the it is the first item that we address in this very first. Every ESCO day. Here, we give a report of how much progress we are making and also the challenges, and together we find a way around them. His Excellency gave the project 100% support by leading by example and at every opportunity speaking in support of the project. Indeed, even when difficult questions were raised at ESCO, some said, who is my opponent in this case? MDICTA. But HEC provided support work and have been unequivocal and total. Then came September 1, 2023, and we cut off all paper from the system. By that action, was achieved. We do not lay claim to being 100% perfect, but we have successfully pioneered this effort. That has become an example of this possibility for other states any of the great states, if and whenever called upon to do so, because the governor has given his commitment on this. We are also continually improving and exploring other possibilities and growing the we'll be hosting the technology conference, and we intend to use this conference to showcase our achievements in the area and take the program to the next level. The technology conference will serve as a solid and safe space for tech talents and startups to network, build local solutions for their environment, expand their horizons, and strengthen the ecosystem. Now, I tell you something. People who think that investment in tech, even though it's quite expensive, that is investment that will not bring return on investment, that's a big lie. What we know, and we've researched this, is that infrastructure that we're providing will serve as the foundation upon which services can be layered. Today, across the state, we have a connection. So any company that is coming into this state right now to do digital business will not need to create another one. They will have to come to us to leverage what we have, and they will have to pay without any question. So you find that at the end of the day, your investment is not lost. You have only provided a foundation that many things can be layered on, and there will be return on investment. It may not happen now, but it will happen later. Now, the goal of the conference to encourage networking, to provide interactive platform, to enhance visibility and exposure of talents, to provide a platform for talents to understand government policies, to foster public-private partnerships. You can't do without it. Very important. To provide networking opportunities for our young people, and then to inspire innovation. Somebody talked about innovation 2 days ago, one of our officers. Again, I'd like to, if there's any EduGov agent here, EduGov change agent, are you here? How many of you are here? Now, but just get us, let's recognize you. SARS and MARS, if you're to succeed, then you must commit the project to these young people. From across the MDAs. Each MDA has how many? 2. In the project, and there are people that are quite good. You know, these young people, they are better than us in tech. So for them, it's not something that is difficult. So these guys are taking this initiative. They are the ones who respond first if there are issues in any of the MBA before the thing is transmitted to us. So thank you very much for your support so far. We are hoping to obtain one of our prominent Edo sons, Mitchell Elegbe, who is the CEO of InterSwift, arguably the biggest e-payment platform in Nigeria. How many of you know that he's from Edo State? The planning committee. I am deputy to him, and we are really working excitedly forward to ensure sustainability. People talked about sustainability. What we have after the governor leaves. The governor is someone who has thought through this process. So he's laying the blocks and the foundations to ensure that there's no going back. I'll give you an instance. One of the reasons why we took the decision to ensure that by September 1, we must do cutoff was that we thought that if we do e-governance consistently before the next administration comes, the e-governance project will become so entrenched in the system. And in 1 year, many people would have forgotten paper. If we're able to by the time the next administration comes, it will have no choice than to just fit in. That was the thinking. So technology has taken over our way of doing things. It has radically disrupted the old methods. So we either embrace its wonders or be left behind in the shadows of the past. For this reason, the Edo State government has invested in We're almost done. Some other major challenges. One of them is cost. In truth, technology is not. You have technology now, you think you have the best. Tomorrow you have another one. So you must update. This cost investments by government, my boss to get this done. You may have that difficulty because my boss is somebody who understands this thing. The initiative flowed from him, and it was easy for us. In fact, anytime the biggest investment I'm sure that we have now is in grow and develop the approach of it. I don't know how you have done that like that, but we'll have to advise. I will have to succeed. You can give us as an example of success. He also committed yesterday to taking this matter up at the level of the governors. And so I'm sure when our governor is able to speak with his colleagues, it will be a lot easier when you talk to them. On the first side, investment in technology is not attractive. I said that before, because citizens do not see that the major investment. They cannot relate to it, and they are not enthused about it. In Edo State, there's a saying that's becoming increasingly popular. I don't know if you have heard it. Most tech investments are largely non-physical, unlike investment in roads and other physical infrastructure, which every citizen can see and relate to. So only governments with an understanding of the importance of digital transformation we still like commitment and determination like the one we have in Edo can venture into such investments. As heads of service, we have the responsibility of advising, continuously advising. You know, keep saying it. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. If he doesn't listen today, tomorrow he will listen. Our chief executives on an informed basis on the benefits of digitalization, and part of this is to study and research these issues thoroughly to be able to advise our bosses. This, if we I researched several aspects about the digitalization process, and every opportunity I've had to develop myself, I've seized it. I urge you to do the same. Cybersecurity concerns are also veritable challenges to success in public service digitalization. These have to be addressed to ensure an inclusive and sustainable transition. Our governments need to heavily invest in building a robust digital infrastructure, expanding internet connectivity, and providing training and capacity building programs to equip its workforce with the skills it needs to develop and grow its digital economy. Furthermore, cybersecurity measures have to be strengthened to safeguard sensitive data and protect against cyber threats. Again, this is where you must take leadership. Cybersecurity is not the business of the experts alone. It is the business of everyone, and the heads of service must take the initiative. We're working on that now to ensure, because once it is breached, that itself is a big minus for the system. We have had how many attacks? MDIC. How many attacks over the last 1 year? 500 attempts to hack into our system. Over the last how many months? Over the last 6 months. Does that tell a story? So, but we have a lot of things to strengthen our system. We have what we call multi-factor authentication, MFA. And you know, it's single factor authentication. So these guys have trained me so much. Just a pin. But beyond that, layers. So if you want to break into it, that's the first layer. There are many mails that have been quarantined in my system. When they suspect it, they capture it. And luckily, in the NDICTA's, I said luckily, it's a product of investment. You can see everything that's happening in the system. Everything. Where the problems are, you can see them. What is being done, of course, responsibility, you can see it. So the system is so beautiful. It's not something like we are in phase 2 now of the project, which the governor admirably called or codenamed eGov 2.0. And here we are working on extending the project to local governments and other hubs of government. We're also seriously conversing on the adoption of artificial intelligence, and I said it before, and this is part of our strategic plan of action. Goes into it without a plan. We have the 2024 which we developed and approved before we started working. Okay, but I must make the point, digital transformation is a journey. It is not a destination. It requires vision, it requires leadership, it requires collaboration. As I mentioned yesterday, leadership must be demonstrated across all levels of the public service. There is need to embrace this transformative power and shape a brighter future for all. We must be open to the idea of embracing emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, IoT, prioritize data, privacy, and ethical integration, foster partnerships and collaborations, and embed digital transformation into the DNA of the bureaucracy. I don't think I need to talk about the doing of it. That's an establishment the government has created to take the process beyond the now. They have trained over 61,000 adult youths in tech, a lot of things. Okay, so there's the aspects that I may not really talk too much about, but I just told them to project it. What we have done with the e-transformation scheme. Maybe we'll make that conversation digital, one for another day. But it's something that has been so revolutionary. I have done an article on it. Perhaps you can research it. Where's my PA? Project the article on this day, some 2 years ago when we started. The initiatives, the idea behind it, public service transformation, the new fleet management system in focus. So you can take a look at it, so you can know exactly how we took this on and what we did to consummate it. Conclusion. I would like to conclude this presentation exactly where I started, by quoting the National Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Digital transformation is not just about it. It is about unlocking the potential of government to serve citizens better, to be responsive, more efficient, more effective. It is about building a government that is truly of the people. How many of us remember that definition of democracy? By the people and for the people, not just the people, but people of the 21st century. It's important to re-emphasize that as we navigate the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century, embracing digital technology is not just a choice. It is a necessity for progress and development. In particular, the digitalization of the public service in sub-Saharan Africa holds immense promise for transforming governance, enhancing service delivery, and driving inclusive growth. The Great States are not an exception. By embracing digital technology and harnessing the power of innovation, we can build a brighter future for generations to come. Let us seize this opportunity to build more responsive, accountable, and efficient governments that truly serve the needs of our citizens. Thank you.
I think we should be up on our feet. This was a fantastic, amazing session. Thank you so much, sir. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, sir. You know, this part of the retreat just took everybody back to school because it was really detailed and highly intellectual. Once again, let's put our hands together for our digital head of service at those states for this lecture. Wow. I know at this point that we will need to stretch. But before we go on our short break, we'd like to take just 5 questions. Just 5. That's if we have. If we don't have, all fantastic. But I believe we should have like 5 questions. But if we don't have, we should have. We should have. You know, they say in local balance, as it hot, we can't go after the break to take the questions. We just take 5 or less than 5. We have number 1, number 2. Okay, number 1, number 2. So one hand here just now. Number 3, number 4, and number 5. Someone help me with the mic. Thank you. Yes, let's just start with the DG Brace Commission number 1.
Thank you very much, Head of Service. This is highly interesting and revealing on how Edo succeeded in the mission it set for itself. Mine is not a question. Mine is an appeal to all the heads of service in this hall and to the permanent secretaries. I don't know what it is these days, but I'm sure that our elder statesman here, who himself was a former permanent secretary at the federal level, will confirm. When you go on a conference and return home, you are expected to write a report with your recommendations. Am I still going on? So my appeal to you all is that, please, if you do not do anything else, do a memo on this and send to your principal. Whatever else he does, forget, but do the memo, do your own first. And let's see what begins. Make all the arguments you have to make in your memo. And anytime you see him or her, no, you don't have her as governor yet. So it's a challenge to all the young ladies in the house. Do that, please. Because it also makes it easier when they come to the governor's meeting. They would have read your memo, their minds would have been prepared, and when your governor is raising the issue and discussing with them, it becomes difficult for them to, begin to oppose it. But one thing we must all realize is, if we do not do it today, we will do it tomorrow. And by tomorrow, it will be more expensive. As we have all learned from the economic situation in Nigeria, if we were planning to buy a house and you were procrastinating, it's even more difficult to buy that house today because the cost has gone off the roof. In appealing to the heads of service, I also want to reach out to the permanent secretaries. You have a major role to play to support them as well. So when you go back, begin to prepare the minds of your officers that change is around the corner. It's inevitable. It is inevitable. You must do it today. And I will end by, we've been having a debate with some of my friends. Some of them want America destroyed. So they want Trump back in power. And my question is, why do you want America destroyed? It doesn't make sense to me. But somebody else posted about 40 to 50 items that originated from America. The internet we are discussing. The Chinese just borrowed and expanded it. So it started from the United States. Virtually everything you can think of, they all grew out of the United States. And the rest of the world took it and ran with it. So what am I trying to say? It's very simple. Edo has done something. The rest of you must take it and run with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Number 2, please.
All protocol duly observed. My name is Akobitina, Delta State Computer Center, Office of the Head of Service. I want to thank our HOS Edo State for the laudable lecture he has given us. I appreciate you, sir. Please, we know that one major problem we are facing in both federal and state civil service is the problem of fighting ghost workers and fraudulent activities. Taking Edo State as a case study, in what ways has the Edo State government done, the process they have done in tracking because of this digitizing process and digitalization? What are the steps are they taking in fighting ghost workers and fraudulent activities in the state? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Number 3.
My name is Mr. Iriak Kemejo from Office of the Head of Service, Delta State. I want to thank our Head of Service. There's no doubt the lecturer was an erudite, is an erudite scholar. The process of digitalizing the Edo State's public service, no doubt, was truly espoused. But however, I raised up a question which at the end of the day was answered during the challenges, because that question has to do with cyber security. You know, looking into the future can be thought-provoking when you talk about digitalization and also digitalization. Because in this era of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, you know, cybersecurity and artificial intelligence is something that's interconnected in various ways. You know, as technology grows, so also cyber threats, innovation. You agree with me, sir? Actually, it is crucial for one to stay ahead. You make mention that multiple layers has been done by your system, so that not only to track, but also to do away with all the strengths. Please, I will also want to expound a little bit of that, what has been done by this digital process to tackle this threat. Now, my other one is a contribution on the issue of sustainability. You said you have made lasting laws for longevity. I just want to contribute, if you permit me. I feel that if you can put legal frameworks in place, I know you talked about it in your last lecture. In addition to that, to make it well fortified, I still believe that if the House of Assembly, by way of legislation, to make these things institutionalized, so that this sustainability can be made fair. Thank you. Thank you.
Next question, please.
My digital head of service, standing on the already established protocol. Mine is not a question, but I want to thank you. I am Mr. Ihale of Ori, comrade, the Vice Chairman of the Association of Senior Citizens of Nigeria here in those states. I want to thank you that digitalizing the system or digitizing the system and the reforms that have happened in the civil service has not been one that has caused loss of jobs, has not been one that has seen to the sack of workers. It has been one that has really added value to the workforce. I want to tell those that have come from our sister states, if you look at the faces of workers in those states, you can tell without asking questions how much value that this system, the reforms in the service, has added to the welfare of the civil servants. You know, the head of service said something that when the journey started, we at the labor side, we kept asking, because all we've known in the past about reform is downsizing. But when it happened in Edo State, should I use the word upsizing? Because it led to the increase in workforce. And I want to say right now, in the whole of Nigeria, I can stand on that and say that Edo State has the highest number of computer literate civil servants. And I want to thank the head of service for standing side by side with His Excellency the Governor of Edo State to ensure that this dream comes true. And we are waiting for the next governor, and when that time comes, he has no option than to continue with this journey. We have not got it our destination, but we have left where we are coming from, and we hope to see more.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Former Governor of Edo State and all heads of service present. I am Dr. Ewe Rita Samurupa. I've come to lend my voice to that of our digital head of service, to the brave state. That's when you run with this vision that has been brought before you, that you should not drop the ball. There might be challenges along the way, just like our digital head of service have told you, but don't be discouraged. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Do not drop the ball. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the last question.
My name is Victor Okenini, Director of Establishment, Manpower Accounting, Office of the Head of Service,
Mine is just to thank our head of service for that impeccable paper, for the flawless paper. I also appreciate him for driving the transformation initiative in Edo State. Let me quickly say that what is happening in Edo State between Mr. Governor and our head of service, Dr. Okunbo Esfire, is akin to what happened between Simeon Adebo and Chief Obafemi Awolowo in the then Western region. That cooperation brought a lot of development to the then Western region, and that's what we're experiencing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Your Excellencies, and the DG, my colleagues as well. Let me first of all thank everyone who has said beautiful things about what we have been doing. But in reality, this has succeeded lightly because we supported it. And so the appreciation should actually go to you and not to me. Every step of the way, I mean, it's not 1 year, 2 years, a service that had very few computer literate people has now moved to a point where the only way you work is through. If you hadn't supported it, it would never have worked. Believe me. And this is where I appreciate level. Every time that it came around, they expressed genuine concerns. How do we do this? Go and tell God, me, I didn't go to tell each, because I know the kind of government he would not want to hear. Now, but we converse. I said, what about this? What about that? And because he has the knowledge and the desire, it's still, you know, the governor now, once he believes that something will be good for the system, he goes for it. So, but labor has been very, very careful. The director of establishment knows we used to have, we stopped it at some point, but we're going back there. We used to have quarterly interactions with labor. And that has said, maybe that's what my colleagues can also adopt. Yeah. So when an issue is coming up, you let them know. You discuss it with them. They can express observations, but convince them first. If you succeed in convincing them, you've done more than 80% of the work. They are the ones who will go back to their people to say this thing is good. So when you go to talk to them like we have been talking with them, it's been very easy because of the groundwork that these guys have done. So Labour, thank you very much for what you have done. Thank you, we appreciate it. Some questions? Excuse me. Oh, thank you. I love you too. The first question was on ghost workers. MDICT, are you here? Please come. Come, please. Isaac, please come. You know, sometimes when questions are difficult, not as if this is difficult anyway, I leave them for my opponents to answer. These are my opponents for this, in this instance. What are we doing with ghost workers? One of the things we have begun to see lately is the fact that people just go away. We have seen a lot of jackpot in the system. In fact, I decided one time to take a census of the people who were living in the system. I was very deliberate and intentional. So we started with the Ministry of Health. In fact, just the HMBA. And between January and August of last year, over 100 people left. 100, one establishment. What that means is that a lot of people see it every day. Now, because of the stance that we've taken, people are now telling us they want to go. Before, they would just go. And sometimes salaries will continue. Because you don't sign anything nowadays. Every month, salary goes into. So what we have now, we are currently doing what you may loosely call personnel audit. And it's a huge assignment. Every MDA has had to come several. He's leading that team. And that's why I said he should speak about it. So you now have to sign as the permanent secretary in the MDA. We will look at, because we're transiting from Oracle to Edogo to pay salaries. That's something that you can also do when your system matures. Because government feels, I mean, why do we have to have an analogous system when we have ego and we've invested so much in it that can do everything? So why don't we use it to do our business and also pay salaries? So we took ourselves majorly or substantially out of Oracle about 6 months ago, at the beginning of this year. But the Office of the Accountant General still uses Oracle. So we're now currently doing a lot to effect that transition from Oracle to EduGov. So it will be easier for us to monitor. That system, that effort has evolved a lot. So currently we're working. So at the end of the day, an MDA with a permanent secretary or the head of the MDA will have to sign that you have this and this and this and this number of people in your employment. You have to commit to ensuring that when they leave, you'll have to inform us. In any case, we have our own ways now of doing that. So that's one thing that has been happening. So I will ask Isaac to talk about that a bit more because he's leading that, but just a minute. Then cyber security. I said it yesterday. When you close your door, it doesn't mean that thieves cannot break into your house. And I gave the example yesterday that in my own area, those days, not too long ago, they will leave the door that you locked, bore a hole on your fence, access your compound, and bore a hole on your wall and access your room. So you locked your door. They have entered. But you lock your door, not because thieves cannot enter your house. You lock your door because you make it difficult for them to enter. So by the time they are boring holes, it's not as easy as when you just open it and then you can walk in and come out. So cybersecurity is like that. There is no system in the world that is completely safe, 100% safe. So what you should do is to try to lock the door, which we are doing here. So the multi-factor authentication is that the single factor is PIN, all right? You access the PIN. So what if somebody knows your PIN? So but there are other layers. That's what we call the multi-factor authentication. You meet one, you meet a second, you meet a third, you meet a fourth. That's what we're doing. I'm sure my other opponents can talk about that. Sustainability. Yeah, that's the issue somebody raised, but it was a comment. Institutionalization by virtue of a law. Again, I told you the difference. I'm a draftsman of laws. That my LLM is drafting. And I've come to realize with the work I've done, and I worked before as Director of Legal Drafting. One of the things I have come to realize, laws, yes, they're good. But laws can be changed any minute. And we have seen that happen. I told you the story of when we had to change the law. The House of Assembly was sitting. They were waiting for us. And the majority leader, former deputy governor, came to our office. We worked on the law in 1 hour. He changed the law that had been there for like 8 years. So it's not foolproof. But the point is, it is something you should do. Again, because it takes a while. Even if it's 1 hour or 30 minutes, it will take a while to change the law. But one thing that we haven't been doing in this country is citizen sensitization concerning the laws has not been there. So many citizens don't even know what laws we have. That's number one. So if they knew when there's going to be a change in any of the laws, because they're supposed to be first reading, second reading, committee stage, all of these things are processes in the law-making cycle. From when a bill enters the legislative chamber and when it emerges after the heat of the legislative business. The people are supposed to know. So when they know, if we do that properly and they know that taking the law out will affect their interests, they will fight against it. And that's why we must at every time encourage NGOs. Because there are NGOs that are involved in good governance and they will take issues like this up. So it's something that is not bad, but beyond that, we must make effort. Yeah, the issue of addition of value. Again, this is the key to what we have been doing. If it will not add value to the system, we will not do it. So this is the acid test. I don't know what they call it. it must pass through that test. If e-governance is not adding value to our system, we will not do it. If any action that we are to take in the system is not going to add value, we will not take it. And that's the position the governor has always had. So every time as a system, you must work to build the system in such a way as to effect value addition to the steps and actions that you take. So at this stage, let me leave it for my opponents to deal. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. To respond to the question on ghost workers, but the way I'd like to go about is just to say a few things, just like a little build up. In Edo State, we have a vision to be the best state to live and prosper in by the year 2050. That's our vision. And for us to achieve that, it's been said repeatedly here that the public service is the engine that will drive us to that destination. And for us to have the kind of public service that will take us to that destination, we need people who are inspired and motivated to do their work, right? And for that to happen, one of those things that makes workers motivated is to have the right kind of salaries being paid to them. And for us to achieve that, we needed to block wastages. And we needed to be sure the number of people we have in the service. So today in Edo State, for you to be a staff, you must be onboarded into the system. And what do I mean by onboarding? You have to go for your biometrics capture. Once we capture your biometrics, we have your data, we onboard you into the system. We'll give you an email account that now makes you a staff. Other unique identifiers we have within the system, such that you cannot be two people in one, is that we take your NIN, your NIMC identification, which cannot be duplicated, right? Such that everybody within the system has a unique identifier and is submitted and uploaded into the system. Having done all of this at entry, we then discovered that there are other ways. People come to work, people get engaged, but don't do any work and get paid. And one of the ways these things happen very easily is what is enshrined in the service that is called parent MDA. So I'm recruited into the Ministry of Roads and Bridges, or Infrastructure, if you like. And there's a project, maybe a work project called C4 or whatever. And I'm seconded to that project. I still continue to draw my salary from my parent ministry, Roads and Bridges. Whether I get to work or not at C4, Roads and Bridges doesn't even know. Whether I've traveled to the US or to Canada, Roads and Bridges doesn't know. But at the end of the month, Roads and Bridges continue to pay my salary because that's my parent MBA. So what we have said today is that your point of accountability is where you go to every day. So we account for you where you work. Even though your parentage still remains at the ministry that seconded or deployed to your current point, but for the purposes of salary payment, the update that will be sent from the place where you currently work is what will capture each and every person that works in that location. So I'm able to say this, the ABC worked with me for this month. Therefore, paid salaries to them at this month, no longer at the parent MD. So that's what we're doing currently. Even as we sit here, most times I'm moving my phones up and down because people are trying to, we're updating our records, and by the end of July, there are some people who we have their names now, but we don't have their bank details. And the head of those organizations are unable to provide the bank details. And it's strange to us. This is something we've been doing for 2 to 3 months. So how come we don't have your bank details and you're in our system? It means the person is nowhere around. If you're around, we'll know by the end of this month because you won't get your salaries paid. So any person who doesn't have complete information today, as we are updated, by July 26th, which is payment date, you won't get your salary. So if you're really a staff of EDSG, when you don't get your salary on July 26th, you will come forth. Those guys that don't come forth, we already have eliminated them from the system. So by July 26th, hopefully by August 26th, we'll be sure how many people we have on our database that will pay salaries. And based on whatever savings we see from that, we may be able to increase the salaries of workers in Edo State. Thank you.
Your Excellency, sirs, and every dignitaries present, I'm to speak to how we handle the issue of cybersecurity in Edo State. My name is Goodluck Ibinidion. I'm the Managing Director of the ICT agency. Now, the issue of cybersecurity is a complex one and very technical. And when you talk about security, especially in the IT world, there's something you don't see in the public because they're very, very sensitive. I will try to make it a bit basic. Now, there is a saying or a proverb that says, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So what that means is that if we are all together, now the weakest point person in that chain can break the whole chain. So therefore, in technology, when you talk about security, the people using the technology are very, very key. And who are the people in this case? They are the staff of EDSG. Now, let me go back to the infrastructure. When we set up our data center, it's for a purpose. One of the purposes is that I prefer to take care of my own children. I believe I can take care of my children more than anybody else. So under the instruction of His Excellency, we were directed to bring all our data everywhere in the world, bring them down to our data center so that we can have full control of what is happening to those data and who have access to it and what they are doing in that environment. So that was a very big step that we took in Edo State. You know, AWS is expensive, and we have other cloud services provider over there that are not as expensive as AWS. So you'll be tempted to go and put your data there. That is risky. Okay, so we brought them down to our data center where we have over 9 layers of security architecture, and we can monitor who have access to it, when and what they do with each of the data. Now, that's one step. The other step, as my HOS has said, every time we go out, we get feedback from users. Question on cybersecurity, it helped us to fine-tune our architecture. So the next thing we did was to build a disaster recovery center. That's a D-house outside Edo State. Because if you put primary and secondary in the same state, what if that state is shut down? I mean, everything is shut down. So we have our D-house that is backing up every day whatever is being stored at our data center. So it means that if the primary goes down, we can see how access to our data are intact. So that is done. Now, on the people's side, you have to train the users. First of all, the way we architect our network, you cannot have access to our resources if you are not identified. The system will identify you as a person. The system will identify the device you are using. So like my agent has said, from our control room, even on my mobile, I can monitor what you do per second. Now, does it mean we monitor everything? No. There are some category of people that we have to get the approval of HOS or His Excellency before we did that. But whatever we do on our network, on our resources, we can monitor it. Now, my HOS also mentioned how we extend fiber optic to the 18 local government. What we achieve using that is that you have one government, the same experience, the same resources, the same infrastructure, the same services that people in the globe, in Benin Central are enjoying. They enjoy it there as well. So if you run away from Benin, go to anybody thinking maybe we will not see you. If you plug into our network, we will see you. Also, we have, because Edo State is not digital, the world is mobile. So we have the mobile version of the EdoGov, meaning you can walk anywhere in the world. And you have a secured access from wherever you are, because people, it's a normal practice for those high-tech guys. They just go hide under a service provider. They may be in Nigeria, operating from US or from India, so that they can get access to you. So, but with our security, we know where you are coming from, and all the IP address you use will trace it. So before you, just like my agent said, before you can join, you have to be onboarded. We have an active directory that house all the identity of our staff, of our workers. We also create for also our consultants. So if a consultant comes to our territory, we know how to give them access and monitor that access. I think I will stop for now, not to explain.
Wow. In summary, before we go for the break, the head of service has spoken about the need for technology, the need for the right people, and the need for the right processes. And also, he had mentioned the investment in the people in capacity development. He also mentioned the learning and development culture, which involves training and retraining. He also talked about word round, which will help you to discuss the idea, feedback on the idea, and buy-in on the idea. And also, digital transformation is a journey, not a destination. And that journey requires leadership. And finally, the digital future is here, and you cannot afford to be left behind. Ladies and gentlemen, at this note, we have come to the end of the morning session. This is the time we'll go for our short break. And in the civil service, there is hierarchy. So we'll allow our heads of service and our special guests to go first, and after then, permanent secretaries, and after then, the heads of MPAs, and after then, the rest of us. Thank you so much, and we'll see you after the break.